So it is 11:30 at night because I don't know how to quit when I should. I got both of these planter sets, the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tier leaf planter, and then the 5-tier deeper pocket planter, the original. I got them all filled with soil, and I got them assembled with their water trays and everything, and they're pretty stable. I'm not too worried about it. I think while I'm gone on my trip to Wyoming, I'm sure Thomas would be able to just carefully, well, he wouldn't even really have to scoot them. He could unstack them if we had a storm blow through with serious wind. I'm sure he doesn't want to. I'm really hoping that he doesn't have to, but I know that he'll do that for me if it's absolutely necessary. So because it took so long to get them filled with soil, and by the end, I want to say it took 5 2-cubic-foot bags of soil, but it might be 5.5. I had a little bit of potting mix already in my tub that I used to mix my soil, and now that they're assembled and filled, I couldn't just go to bed. That's like, you know, doing all the work with none of the payoff. So I am planting my Red of Florence shallot style onions in the leaf planter, and I am planting them in the side that is facing towards the side of my house, so it's kind of in a corner. It's not gonna get a lot of extra light, so it will definitely be, for the most part, most of the day, it will be in what would be called either full shade or somewhere between partial shade and full shade. And I think onions could probably deal with that, especially in the heat of the summer. It probably will help protect them, and it might mean they grow slow, but that's okay. I can't grow tons of different kinds of lettuces and things in this planter while it's hot anyways, so it's a good place for those poor abused onions to go. If you've watched my other videos, you'll know that I did an oops. I don't know what I was thinking when I totally am into dense seed starting for onions. It makes a lot of sense, especially if you've ever planted onion starts from the store. That's essentially what you're making, is a big bundle of onion starts. And so I put the seeds, where I screwed up was I put the seeds in these little takeout trays that I had saved, and they're good for a lot of things, but these onions really would have done better if there was at least that much more soil under there. And the only thing I can think was that it was a moment of insanity on my part. But you know what, I lost some of them have died, and you know, that is totally reasonable under these conditions. But I'm actually surprised how many have stuck it out, and they're not happy, but they're alive. And now that I am planting them in some fresh potting mix and giving them some water, they don't need fertilizer because it's brand new potting mix that has never been used in any of my other planters, so it already has plant food and stuff mixed into it. And I expect that they should green up and start doing significantly better. These ones are Texas early grano onions. I've already got the Red of Florence separated into pockets, and I've got some of them planted, but I wanted to stop real quick and share some of that emotional payoff with you too, and show you how I'm planting the Red of Florence onions. So let's take a look at that. Alright, I'm trying to talk a little bit quietly because I am on my back patio, and as I live in a townhome, people's bedroom windows are very close to where I am working, so I know from experience that when people are making noise out here, it comes right up to my bedroom window, and I don't want to be that person. So I've been putting 4 of these little onion starts. That's just really all there is to them right now. They do have some roots, but I'm putting 4 to a pocket. That might be one too many. We will find out. And I just make a hole with my finger, and I just kind of tuck that root base into the hole and then fold the dirt back in around it. And they're a little rough looking, but like I said, I really think once they've had some time to settle in, I think that they will do alright. I may lose the ones that I'm putting in the back, but I have enough of them that that's okay. And if it turns out that putting a fourth one a little deeper in the pocket, because this is a smaller shallot style onion, I would not try to do more than one onion to a pocket if this was an onion that was going to be like a big ball onion. But shallot style onions stay fairly skinny. They get like an oval shaped onion base, and they tend to be a more delicate flavor. A lot of people like them on salads or chopped up fresh on top of pizza, that like you put it on the pizza after it's been cooked. I might need some more dirt in this one. A lot of these pockets I've had to put a little bit more soil in after I have filled them, and I think honestly your best tool for that is probably a spoon, like from your kitchen that you eat with. It's just basically you need such a tiny shovel to work in this pocket that there probably is no better tool than the spoon you use to eat your cereal. Alright, and then I just give them a quick little direct water. I know this has its own watering system, but I think when you first plant things, it just makes sense that you would want to give them an extra direct shot of water, because the trickle down system I think is most effective once you already have these plants established. And some of what I've seen people write about how they use these and how they've worked for them corroborates that thought, that they do need some direct watering until they are established and their roots, their little root system is big enough and long enough to reach further back into the planter, where it's going to be able to get to the water from the trickle down system. Alright, as you can see, I really don't know when to quit. It is now midnight, a little after, and I'm gonna go ahead and wash up and get to bed, but I did get a few other things planted. Besides all of these onions, we got that Merlot lettuce, and it's gonna be hard to see around this side. I'm gonna work out here more tomorrow and I'll film that so you'll be able to see it, but there's parsley. These are some little bok choy plants that are really unhealthy, but I figured since now that I have this, I have the space. Boy, you really can't see those. You can kind of see that one. They're just, I had to peel a lot of leaves off of them that were dying. And there's another Merlot lettuce there. Lots of parsley. And I did put, in the big planter, I only put 3 things so far. Tomorrow I'll put the habanadas and things in there. But there's 2 micro orange tomatoes, so I think they will do really well in here. And then I have so many parsley plants that I'm not too worried about losing 1 or 2, so I put that guy back there as a test to see how plants that are back there facing the opposite direction as where the light is going to come from will do. I put him back there, and my theory is that this will do okay in this location because the sun comes from pretty much the opposite direction as where this white fence is. So the sun is going to come in like that. Shadow puppets! Not that I am easily distracted. Quack, quack. Okay. But back to business. My hope is that the sunlight will bounce off the white plastic a little bit, or fiberglass, or whatever it is. It's probably some kind of really tough plastic. And that plants on that side will get a little bit of light that way. So, anyway, that is my hope there. My plan for here is peppers, and I'm going to put some of the petunias I have in those back pockets, and they'll just kind of drape and be really pretty. my cherry tomato plants. My tomato plants out here are getting big, so I'll come back out and record that stuff for you. So we'll pack things up, not forget my phone charger outside. Not that I would ever do such a thing. And I'll bring those onions in and give them some water because they're bone dry. I used this little stool that we had. We've got this in the downstairs bathroom for when some of my younger nieces and nephews are over because it helps them reach the sink. But it was kind of perfect to sit on while I was planting onions in those bottom 2 layers because otherwise you're standing there bending over for a really long time. Let me pack up all my pieces and I'll see you inside in just a minute. Alright guys, so we got a lot done today. Never as much as I would like, but that's sort of a perpetual problem. Probably that has more to do with my lack of perception of my own limits than anything else, but we try. We did some cooking today. I made egg roll in a bowl with pork and carrots and fresh ginger and onions, and then I folded in some fresh bok choy and broccoli leaves that I had washed and sliced up from the in-ground garden. And it was really good. I did the sauce with sesame, or no, I'm sorry, I put sesame seeds in there, but I did the sauce was soy sauce, a little bit of sugar-free barbecue sauce because I'm trying to get a little bit smaller. I've gained some weight back that I would like to get rid of. Who can relate, right? And lime juice because I'm slowly learning about making ponzu, which is basically a soy sauce paired with a citrus. I think the bottled ponzu that you buy usually uses lemon juice, but I didn't have any lemons, so we did lime juice, and it had a little bit of sriracha, so it was a little bit spicy. But it turned out really good, so that's an accomplishment. I did make dirty dishes doing that I haven't got to, but that's tomorrow's problem. And we did grocery shopping, which needed to be done. I got some things to take through the airport with me on my trip out to Wyoming. Finally, we got out to the back patio. Sadly, by that point, I had pretty much lost my light, so we did an experiment and I shot some footage while I was doing that outside. Hopefully that turned out well enough. It is definitely not ideal to be filming in the dark like that, but I will say it was really nice to work out there in the dark with the porch light on because for the most part I could see what I was doing, and it was so much cooler working out there at night than it is during the day. So, I mean, temperature wise it was really nice, but for filming I will try to be doing that kind of stuff during the day, so hopefully we don't have night videos like that too often. I'll know when I go to edit if it was so bad I should never do it again. That's how we learn things, right? I really only thought I was going to get one greenstalk assembled, but then I got out there and I got going, and like I said, I don't know how to quit. So I just kept going and going and going, and the plants said, "But I'm tired of my cup. You've got it put together. Just plunk me in there. I'll be so happy." So I did. I didn't get the nasturtiums put in. I really should have done those if I was doing things tonight, but I did get parsley and lettuce, and I mean, you saw already what I got put in there. I'm going to amend my statement before. I think I said I used 5 to 5.5 bags of soil. By the time I get done adding a little bit to each cup, because they were a little too low the way that I initially filled them, I would say definitely 6 bags. I think what I read was that each tier of those greenstalks is 1 square foot of soil, or not 1 square foot, 1 cubic foot of soil. So that's how I calculated how much mix, and then I think I bought an extra bag just to be safe. And I do have 2 bags left in my garage out of what I bought, and I want to say I bought 6 or 7 bags because I knew I also had a 5-gallon bucket that I need to fill yet and put a tomato in. I think the only other thing I have for you today is a confession. You saw that I did some filming at Walmart earlier, and I did get myself out of the garden center before I did any real damage, but it's really hard for me to walk by the seeds and not buy anything. I did get some of these garden beans, stringless string beans. I've never grown this variety before, Landreth's stringless. I should have double checked. Are these bush beans? I didn't double check. That's kind of important. Duh. It is a bush bean. I do have one packet of, I have a couple things that are pole beans, so I really don't need to be buying any more pole beans because I'm very limited on where I can grow anything that needs support to climb on. So I might stick a few of these in empty pockets if I have the space. Otherwise, I'll just plug them in somewhere at the in-ground garden. Probably not until I get back. I will be really surprised if I have time to do anything extra out there. I'm scrambling, just trying to get it all done before I leave. And the other thing that I bought, my big spend, my extra $1.44, were these tomatoes. So I have never grown a cherry tomato that has the long bunches. I know there's a specific word. Help me out in the comments if you know what they call this when they grow down a long stem like this with a whole bunch of them to either side. But I've always thought that was really, really pretty, and I've never actually grown a tomato that grows that way before. So this is red cherry large fruited heirloom, which ideally means that I could save seeds from these. So I figured I'm kind of limited on my cherry tomatoes. I only have the Sweetie Pole cherry tomatoes and the micro orange hat tomatoes. So because there's so many people in our family that like cherry tomatoes and they're really convenient for salads and for snacking on, I wanted to have one more option for those. So we'll give those a shot. Likely I will start these probably a week or two after I get back. We'll see. And these will be like the second wave of tomatoes towards the end of summer. They will ideally, I want to start them so that they start getting flowers just when the temperature starts dropping back into being in the 80s regularly instead of in the 90s like it usually is here by July. The end of, like, the last week or so of June, usually the last 2 weeks of June, sometimes it's consistently 90 to 100 degrees every day. At which point tomatoes no longer will fruit because they're too stressed out by the heat. They will survive usually just fine, especially if they have enough water, but what'll happen is they will put out flowers and then those flowers will just shrivel up and fall off because it can't get the flower to actually fruit even with a pollinator's visit because the plant is just not here for it when it's 100 degrees. And you know what? I can understand that. That's fair. Any of you out there who are growing in green stalks, I would love for you to drop in the comments below and let me know what is your favorite thing to grow in them. This is my first experience with them, so I am going by what other people are saying and kind of by the guidance that are in the instructions, and I'm sure we'll do a lot of experimenting, but I'd like to know what your experience with them has been. And if you don't have green stalks, what would you grow in them? What would you want to try if you had a green stalk? What is your favorite thing to grow in containers if you're a container gardener? It can be really valuable to have those conversations because I have heard people say all kinds of things that you can't grow this in a container or you can't grow that in the container. It only works well in an in-ground garden, and there are many instances where that's just not true. It's just maybe somebody told them that and they believed it, or maybe they read it on the package and believed it when actually a lot of the packaging information really tells you to give things a lot more space than they need. Not always, but it is a very common thing. Like, I think carrots. Somebody told me that you could not grow carrots in a container, that it had to be in the ground. And I have grown carrots in a container, and they were a little puny. I think it was down to me not thinning them well enough. Carrots I have struggled with more because I have a hard time decapitating perfectly healthy seedlings. Emotionally, I just really struggle with it. And carrots are one of those things that if you're gonna get good carrots, you really have to be willing to sow. They will not grow well beyond shooting out greens if you cannot give them enough space under the ground. And that makes sense. It's logical. I struggle to look that little seedling in the eye and commit murder. But I'm gonna try again this fall because I do really want to grow carrots. I might even try before the fall in some of the pockets on my greenstalk planters. I have some of the carrots that are like the little round ones, Parisian carrots or something like that. So I might try some of those in the empty pockets on my leaf planter. But you can grow carrots in a container. You absolutely can. People grow them in greenstalks all the time. I grew them in a bucket and it worked. And even if you don't get good even if you don't get good, like the orange part of the carrot, the greens are really, really good. I love them in soups. I love them in my salad. I love them on sandwiches or in wraps. They're really good trimmed up on top of a taco with your cilantro. And they're really good for you. They're full of vitamins. So they just taste, they don't have a super strong taste. They're just a little bit carroty and a little bit kind of a fresh green sort of flavor. So it's definitely worth trying. So I'm going to leave you with that, and I'd like to say thank you for hanging out with me today and tonight and all the times that you do swing by my channel. I appreciate your time. It's valuable. I'll see you guys in the next video. We're going to put some more things in those green stalks and see if we can clean up that mess around my front entryway area. I think I've taken most of the things out to the in-ground garden that are going, so now I can start dispersing some of the extra pieces because now I know that they are indeed extra pieces. If any of this has been useful or interesting to you, please like and subscribe and, let me know in the comments and help a baby channel out. We're growing fast. I'm kind of excited. I did not think that I would get this many subscribers this soon, so that's been very encouraging.